today on the Prosperity Nation podcast.
The form was so misleading. It made it look like when they got this aid and this aid and that aid and this aid that they would only have to contribute, $5,000 or something. But all that aid was loans.
Oh, God.
Like, you guys, wait a minute. You're going to have to come out of pocket with $38,000. Welcome to the Prosperity Nation podcast. I'm Angie Grainger, and this is my co-host, Elise Eropkin.
Hey, Angie.
Hey. So I'm going all out today. I'm wearing short sleeves.
Oh.
I never wear short sleeves. It's one of those things that even though I had all my tattoos removed and then had more put back on after I spent 8 years removing them in a torture chamber. Don't recommend that. But I still have that little bit of hold back in me of like, oh, you shouldn't show your tattoos. Well, today, I'm doing it. F it. Here I am.
Yeah.
The real me.
You do that. You do you.
Thank you. Thank you. Hey, what are we going to talk about today, Elise?
I think we're going to talk about what happens. Well, I don't know what happens, but college.
College. Like,
college.
Should you pay for your kids' college or not?
Yeah. What to do? What should you do as a parent? How do you do it?
Yeah, or if you're not the parent, what if you're the kid? Should you do it? Should you not do it? What if your parents aren't going to pay? What if they don't have the money to pay? What do you do now? Or should the government pay for it?
Right.
Oh, these are all good questions.
Actually, I just had a friend text me today about the student loan thing. Anyway,
Tell me.
She was like, apparently they charged her again for after not needing to pay, and it hit her credit.
She was.
For late fees. She didn't pay it because she didn't have to. And
she didn't think she had to?
I don't know. I didn't really get into details. But either she didn't think she had to. It's been months. You know how they were not making you pay loans for, I don't know how long.
During COVID, yeah.
And then there was a whole thing about loan forgiveness and anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
So now her credit's down, I don't know.
Well, like the average student loan right now, the average student's coming out of college with $60,000 to $80,000 of debt. That's massive. And, I know we come up with this conversation because that's only part of the cost. The parents often pay the other half of that. I mean, we were just going through a college, here's my pet peeve about this. I was helping a client. No, it's so scammy. I was helping a client understand the college financial aid that they were getting to one of their kids who got accepted to college, and the form was so misleading. It made it look like that when they got this aid and this aid and that aid and this aid that they would only have to contribute $5,000 or something, but all that aid was loans.
Oh, God.
And it was so hard to read and understand. Like, you guys, wait a minute. You're going to have to come out of pocket with $38,000 a year.
A year, yeah.
And that's only one kid. And when you have multiple kids, that's a load of massive amount of money. Sorry, my language. But it's like you are making that choice to fund the kids hundreds of thousands of dollars to get through college. At what expense to you in your life that you've been working so hard to get to this point?
Yeah.
To now have another hundreds of thousands or $250,000 or $500,000 of dollars to fund college? Like, when does it stop?
When does it stop? And is that fair to the parent who's been working their ass off their whole life and now their retirement's gone?
Right.
Let's say.
Or they have to work another 10 years to pay for that. And they were ready to not because their kids are grown and in college. They should have it a little bit easier now.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, it's an interesting question because it's like, at what point as a parent do you feel the obligation to be able to provide for the child? And I don't have kids, so I probably side more on the screw the kid, do what you want to do side. But it's interesting because I've seen... my own experience for me and my sister, with our parents and our college and other friends and stuff and how that worked out and friends with student loans, friends without, I've seen all of it. So,
and going to college, does it make a difference? I mean, there's arguments that it doesn't, but there's arguments that it does. I mean, just that you're able to, be able to articulate complete sentences or write papers or have
I've known people that have gone to college and can still not do that. So,
yeah, I mean, is it an extension of high school?
I think so. It used
Should
to
the government pay for it?
Ugh, I don't even know. No, because then I'm paying for it with my tax money.
Well, you're paying for up to 12 years.
It's fine. That's
why not another
basic.
4? Yeah, it's like, do our kids nowadays actually just need to be in school another 4 years? Like,
Well,
they
I
need
think
more
it's
maturity time.
No, yeah. I think that certain professions, obviously, college is necessary, but I feel like it's so normal and it's been so mandatory, quote unquote, for everyone to have a college degree just to get a basic job now that it made, in my opinion, it made the specialness of going to college like not special or like, I don't know, like it wasn't supposed to be the thing that everyone does.
Right.
And, but now it is, and it's just so normal and standard that.
And with all seriousness about it, the choices that parents have to make as to, can I even afford to do this? Like, what if your value as a parent was, I don't want my kids to ever have to worry about that. I want them to go to whatever college they want to go to and have like the best experience and I want to sacrifice my life to kick off their life and their career. A lot of parents do want to do that for their kids. I know I want to do whatever it takes to help my kids, at my own sacrifice usually. So it comes down to where, here's another way of comparing it. It's kind of like, you love pets. Like you're going to take, if your dog's sick.
Oh boy.
Right? You're about ready to write those 5-figure checks to fix your dog, right?
Yep.
You're going to sacrifice and do because you love and care for them so much. And that's how parents are with their kids. And so, it is that. And I think having those conversations and bringing the awareness to the kids of how much this actually costs so that they have a vested interest, even if the parents are paying for it, that the kids understand that cost.
That's true.
It's not hidden from them.
That's true. I mean, I want to argue that the pet example is different because
Why?
That was his health, and I think health.
This actually was really true.
Yes, he was in the hospital on his second birthday for 3 days. He had liver disease, but whatever. He's good now. We're happy, but spent a bit of money. But that was like, I didn't know if he was going to die or not type of thing. And so it's like, I'm willing to spend a bit of money to keep him alive if it obviously is like, makes sense. But college isn't like, it's not a life or death situation, That's to me more of like, I don't want to say luxury, but kind of.
I get it, but that's not how parents feel.
That's not how parents feel, and I understand. Yeah. I get that.
But let me give you this example. Let's say that you're in the veterinary's office and your dog, you need to get this thing done for your dog. But let's say it costs $100,000 instead of $10,000, and there was a loan officer sitting right there next to you saying, "It's no problem. I'm going to loan here. You can get the loan money. The government's going to support that loan money, and then we'll let you not start paying on it for a few years, and we'll give you a cheaper interest rate on it." Would you do it?
I don't think so.
So that's what's happening in the colleges.
Yeah.
Is those student loans that are subsidized by the government that are embedded into the program allows the rates of college to continue to go sky high because it's subsidized by these loans, but they're not being subsidized by the government. They're only loans.
Right.
And so the prices that's why they're so high. That's why it is $200,000 for a college education nowadays. Because the money is so easy to get and the colleges get paid whether or not,
Well, and then it drags on the payments too. So now, I don't know how long. I didn't have student loans. Luckily, I worked my ass off. All through college, but I don't know, 20 years, right? They're like 20 years loans or something. It's like the same length of a mortgage.
Well, they can be. I think the standard is 10, but then you can defer them and you can, let them go on longer. But yeah, I mean, if you're graduating from college, whether that's a bachelor's degree, not even counting a master's or a doctoral degree, it's, some of those professions where you do need like a higher education, you can walk out with hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt. But I knew someone who was telling me his strife was he worked at a nonprofit organization. Okay. And he got his bachelor's degree and, it was like in sociology or something. and he had $70,000 of debt, and now the payment was coming up. It was $1,000 a month. But, he was making like $18 an hour. Yeah. There was like the formula didn't work, so the cost of the college compared to the rate of return, is a consideration.
Right.
Now, most of the parents that we talk to and I talk to, the kids are getting the guidance in high school to think through their future and to think about what they want to do and to have a plan so that the college is an investment in their future. And that's great. That's what you want it to be. You want it to be able to increase your human capital, your abilities in life down the road. But man, can you imagine doing that when you're 17 years old, Elise? I mean, I couldn't imagine doing that when I was a teenager. Well, I was a mom as a teenager, but I was just trying to get off food stamps at that point.
I mean, I don't know. Like, I think I was a little abnormal as a 17-year-old too. Like, I had it planned out. I knew I was moving. I actually went to a junior college so I can get as much lower cost education out of the way so I didn't have to pay as much for the higher education. I worked full-time, 2 jobs at one point. Throughout my whole 4 years I went to school. I did summer school and I just got in and out. So I graduated right after I turned 21, and I did not have any loans.
Did your parents help at all?
They helped a little bit. They covered my tuition. They covered my tuition and I got books and they gave me a little bit of rent money, but it was living in Southern California,
Right.
$200 isn't good or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm don't get me wrong. I am so grateful for what they did help with, like 100%, but it wouldn't have worked out. I would have had to take out loans if I would have gone right out of high school, and if I didn't work 100%.
I think, and that's hard when you have to work to support and go to school. That's a lot of pressure. I think that's what, why parents don't want their kids to have to do that so they can focus just on school, because it is a stressful transition for a teenager, especially if you're going off to another state or going to a whole school. It's a big life transition. And I know parents want to take that burden off them so that they can just have that 4-year experience and get through that. And there's great merit in being able to do that. And there's great merit in having to support yourself through that too. And I think that's why some parents make that choice of, well, I'll pay for half, I'll pay for all your tuition and your books, but then you have to contribute to your own housing and living and gas money and all that kind of stuff too. And come home in the vacation times. Yeah,
I personally think doing it that way gives the kid more investment in what they're doing if now they have to sacrifice something, and it maybe, because I don't know.
Like, that's part of that argument about wait 5 years before you go to college. Like there's, what if there was a mandatory waiting period between high school and college so that kids had to figure out what they really wanted to do and get themselves in a place where they could make that contribution.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting.
Yeah, I think the main thing of understanding why I like to talk about it is because I see the struggles of families, and middle class, middle American families who really want their kids to have a great start in life. And the cost is not, it's become undoable, like really to where they have to mortgage their house or take on these huge loans or take money from their retirement or work the extra 10 years they didn't want to work and they just don't want to, or they're more tired, they want to change careers and they can't now. And I think that's that sorting through those questions in a way that makes it work for the parents as well as for the kids, and find those alternative solutions like, maybe a different state where it's a little bit cheaper, or a junior college, or grants or scholarships or some things. That was the thing about this financial aid thing. It made it look like it was getting financial aid. I mean, that's not the definition of financial aid.
No, that's a loan.
That's a loan. Yeah.
I know.
Being able to sort through that is important and have real, honest conversations with your spouse and with your kids about this.
Yeah, and like I said, I can't relate. Obviously, I have one side of it, and I was, I didn't get it all paid for. I worked for it, and so for me, it's like I I don't know. I see why a parent would want to provide that for their children, but at the same time, like, I'm like, I don't want to call it pro-parent, I'm like, no, make your kid work, make them earn it. Like, like, don't sacrifice your dreams, 100%. I get wanting to help, but to me, there needs to be a line where you need the child to be responsible for their own future also. Like, you can't just keep giving them everything and not getting anything in return. And actually you're getting like negative in return. Like,
right.
So for me, like, why?
But the return is that knowing that you're helping your kids be more able adults and have a future for themselves. And so maybe parents don't see that at the time, right. But that's what they're trying to accomplish. Because, I get that. Yeah, they want their birdies to fly in the world, so they want to, make sure they have strong wings before they are just, like pushed out the nest, so to speak.
I know.
And I think that's the motive behind it. But the costs are, just outgrowing so much, outpacing the growth and a rise of everything else, that it's really becoming a hardship. And it has for, over a decade now, but it's just continuing to grow this way. But there are a few things that parents can do that can help with this. I mean, obviously planning ahead helps. Yeah. Using life insurance, using 529 plans, those kinds of things can significantly help if you have time, because you can force saves, you can get earnings tax deferred, all of that kind of stuff. The other thing that's really helpful that parents can do is, if you are planning on having to take out a loan to finance college, you don't have to do it right now. So, for example, the kids can borrow the money themselves and have the deferred payments and interest and all that if you qualify for some of that stuff. And then at the time that it's ready to be paid back, you can pay it back for them at that time. And if you need to borrow money to do that, then you're doing it in little pieces, and you've delayed it 4 or 5 years. So you're not paying all the interest for now. Yeah. So there's some ways, or just taking out just enough for that payment, or paying part out of your earnings and part out of debt, that kind of thing.
Or making the kid work. I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Put on no work.
Yeah,
maybe it's a good thing I don't have kids.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe this is one camp that maybe Elise is not going to be popular. I want to be popular. Elise gets all the kudos on these episodes. I want to be popular on this episode.
I'll have all the parents bash me. It's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm a parent, and so I am an advocate. However, I did not pay. I had to pay for my own college. I worked my butt off for it. I took out loans. I paid them off. My kids, one of my kids didn't go to college. He started his own business. He's more successful than all of us put together. He's doing great. And my other one, just finished her master's degree, and she's working on, her higher credentials and stuff. And she's got a massive student loan that she's got to pay off. But, I get to help her buy a house and, help her in that way so that she can still get stabilized in life. And so, it is all about those choices. And I think just being honest and having real conversations about what you're willing to do and helping your kids be part of that, so that you're not buffering them from that. They can handle the truth about the cost and the things. And, it helps them become more financially literate and help them be able to think about it. If you're being honest with them about that, it's just going to help them be able to make their own choices in other areas of life too. So that's my advocacy.
No, I mean, that's a good point, because I don't know if I ever had this conversation directly with my parents, but I knew I was going to move down to Southern California when I was like 16, because I hated where I grew up. But knowing that I was going to have to pay rent, and I was going to have to work, and I was going to have to go to college and do all these things, I started setting up my life even at like 15, 16 to where it would be easier now. Like I knew, okay, well, I need a car. I need a reliable car. I'm driving back and forth. So I saved up my money. I then bought a new car, and then I made sure I paid it off before I moved down, because I didn't want a rent payment and a car payment. So it just, like you said, though, the awareness of knowing the cost, the increase of cost, like I think most people, especially if you have a child who does want to go to college, I don't think, they're going to want to help. I don't know. And if they're aware of how much it's going to cost, they can also help be part of the solution.
Exactly. I think they can, and they are smart. They'll figure it out with you as parents. You're a team in this, and you don't have to hide it from them, or you don't have to buffer them from it, or you don't have to take the responsibility on yourself. Even if you do and you want to, that's great. And if you know that means you're going to do other things, and you're not going to be able to do other things instead, and you want to make that choice, great. I mean, they're all your choices. There's nothing wrong with any of those choices. The point is being able to be really honest with the cost and the reality and getting your kids involved in those conversations and then coming to a solution that's going to work for your family. And it's different for every single family. And that's okay.
That's true. I think that's a good point.
Yeah. Well, with that, we want to hear, look, if you are struggling with this or you have, Elise, you brought up student loan, repayment issues. It's a whole issue, I know, about, how that is effective in people's lives if they can't repay those loans. And, there is a lot of hot stuff on this topic, but we're here to help you. If, let us know what's going on, and we will bring up more subjects around it, or we'll have more episodes around it. So we want to hear it. You're not alone in this journey. We're here with you. So share your stories with us. How can they do that, Elise?
Well, they can email us at stories@prosperitynation.com. They can comment on...
comment.
I don't know. Comment. Follow us. Then you can you can hear about all the other stuff we talk about.
That's right.
You can follow us on social media, subscribe to our podcast, comment on our social media. I don't know. There's so many ways, Angie.
There's so many ways. I know. Well, just make sure you subscribe so you get the notifications when they come out. And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode.
Yep.
See you next time.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Like and subscribe to videos from us on YouTube. Follow us online for the latest episodes, updates, and more. And invite others to join us at prosperitynation.com. That's it for now. We'll see you next time on the Prosperity Nation podcast.